Yeah.
Right. And you were here just about a month or so ago. You guys did a big domestic hot water exchange system.
Yeah.
Bank of, what was those, Renais?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of demand duos. They're for commercial applications for the speed of installing the product. Unreal.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Ani. This is Andy Mickelson. We are the hosts of the Make Trades Great Again podcast. We are not a political podcast, but it comes with a good name, right? Yeah. We've got over 300 episodes in our catalog.
Yep.
And
on Spotify, iHeart, wherever you can get it. So,
yeah, it's great. If you'd like to tune in once in a while, Andy and I stream on every podcast platform, like you said. When we talk about how we run our businesses, we are plumbing heating contractors. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Andy is in Missoula, Montana. And we run small businesses and have for over 20 years. So it's just a dialogue between the two of us, oftentimes talking about what we deal with daily. And we've got our friend Mike Cameron on. Mike, where are you from?
Vancouver, BC.
And Mike has been on the podcast before. You've been a longtime friend on social media and got him down here at the show, so we just couldn't pass up the opportunity to talk to a lot of the cool stuff that you do. Am I talking too much, Andy?
No,
as usual.
Carry on.
Carry on. I guess I'm going to keep going. So, Mike, you're in British Columbia, and you do a lot of a mix of things, but mostly commercial HVAC. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
What is your day-to-day? Are you like a service manager? Are you out in the field turning wrenches? I see you show a lot of different projects that other people in your company might be involved in, too.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right now mostly startups and that sort of thing. Just managing different projects around the province. A lot of gas absorption heat pump equipment.
Gas absorption heat pump equipment. I'd come out right away, man. Hitting. That's a hot topic on social media right now.
Yeah, they're pretty unreal products. It's basically a high efficiency boiler that
typically sitting outside, though, right?
Yeah, but they use a lot of them use ammonia. Some use 410A, just through refrigerant cycle to boost the efficiencies up. So like 140%, most of them.
And they're used, are all of your applications in commercial?
Nope.
No? You're just doing them in residential too?
Yeah, large scale residential, some smaller scale, but mostly commercial.
Right. So like the primary purpose of this gas absorption heat pump is to not go where most of the industry is, which is dump gas, go all electric.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're able to kind of take advantage of the abundance of gas, the efficiency of the electric, combine them, kind of almost hybrid.
Especially depends on your costs, where you're located, cost of electricity versus cost of natural gas, that sort of thing, if you're on propane or whatever. A lot of places don't want natural gas appliances anymore unless we have some clauses, they have to be over 100% efficient. It basically kind of sounds like where it's going to go. So with these products, you can install appliances that are over 100% efficient and operate on natural gas. So it's a little operating costs lower than running full electric where we are anyway.
What are the biggest qualifications, though? Like, are these being spec'd by engineers? Or are you guys going in and saying, like, you don't have enough power infrastructure here, but you've got fuel on the property like natural gas, and we're going to use that?
That one I'm not really allowed to talk about.
There's a whole NDA involved. You can't talk specific products or product brands because this is a really new category and it's expanding rapidly, and there's a lot to kind of protect for the technology for these manufacturers.
For sure, especially manufacturers in North America. They've been around in Europe and Asia for a long time. But here, we always seem like we're a bit behind
right,
on most things, like press fittings.
Yeah. Are you seeing the new installations you're doing? Has there been, how long ago was your first installation? How long have you had these out in the market?
Close to 3 years now.
And how many units have you got installed?
Quite a few. There's, in our area anyway, there's hundreds.
Hundreds of them?
Yeah.
And of various brands?
Not all from us, but various brands. There's basically three main manufacturers. that we work with. Their products anyway. But it's definitely interesting. The newer technology, it's fun to be around.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, and you're not only in that heat pump industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, I see a lot of the stuff that you're posting. It's a lot of just energy retrofit.
Yeah.
Right. And you were here about a month or so ago. You guys did a big domestic hot water exchange system.
Yeah.
Bank of, what was those, Renais?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of demand duos. They're for commercial applications for the speed of installing the product. Unreal.
Small footprint, and you get the same kind of output. And it's a combination of a gas tankless water heater and a large storage tank, correct?
Yeah, they're basically a rack style system, different configurations and all that. But the biggest thing too with the storage tanks, there's no thermal shock on them. Because the way it cycles the tank and the temperature differential for switching to Renais is so tight. It's not like a standard storage tank where you're getting a cold slug at the bottom and shocking your storage tank. So commercially where we are, they only last 5 to 8 years usually.
For the hot water storage tank?
Yeah.
What's the biggest application for that kind of system? Is it like multifamily apartments?
Multifamily or towers. Towers there. A
Housing.
lot of them won't give us shutdowns over certain smaller periods of time now. So we're not allowed no domestic hot water overnight. So to be able to pull off massive mechanical upgrades in really tight time frames, the demand duo setup's unreal from Renai. It's
right. Well, you can prefab so much of that and have just ready to slam and go.
Yeah, that's pretty much. You can just, that last one I did, it was 8-hour turnaround. We had 3 of them running. And so 6 tankless heaters, 3 of the storage tanks. A lot of temporary stuff because it was in 8 hours, but you know, then they have their hot water back on and you can take your time to finish the project properly.
Right.
Make sure it'll actually pass inspection.
So with the moving away in BC, moving away from gas to go to electric, are you seeing that? Is there going to be a mandate on domestic hot water production to do that as well?
A lot of them are still electric, and the newer towers and stuff. But the amount of power you need, our infrastructure can't handle if every tower went to electric, let alone every home if you go to EVs or whatever, or heat pumps for everybody's houses.
Right.
So
well, and there, you get to those municipal applications, that people don't generally think about. Well, how much heat does the city pool take? And so if you've got dehumidification going and all the other good stuff going in there, there's a pile of heat that's just maintenance, just to keep standby temp.
Yeah.
And if that's all being provided on resistance electric, it's scary amount of power.
Big time. In our area, there's a lot of district energy stuff too. Used to work on a long time ago, where you're just kind of moving heat around different buildings. If you do multi-use buildings, you got office tower, residential, everything interconnected. Especially if there's server rooms involved, because we have a pretty big tech community. Well, if you can take the heat in the server room, put it into domestic for the resi tower, or whatever.
You're heating hot water with Bitcoin.
Yeah, basically.
Right. That's cool.
That is cool. So one of the biggest energy, or really ultimately the top energy consumption in these commercial buildings like that, those towers, apartments, things like that, is domestic hot water. How much of the business you guys are working for, how much of your business would you say is domestic hot water work for, installation or maintenance or repair?
Commercial-wise, it's pretty high for domestic. There's a lot of towers in our city are getting up there to upgrade time frames, sort of thing.
Right.
And with newer tech on the market and rebates available and all that sort of stuff, it just makes sense for a lot of towers to do those upgrades because there is some pretty good commercial rebates in Vancouver. But there also is good residential ones if you're upgrading to dual fuel heat pump systems or whatever in your house. But as far as under 100% gas appliances, those rebates are basically gone.
Out of your market?
Yeah.
Is your energy, is it all local utility or is it a government thing or how does it work in BC?
It's provincial BC. So different provider for natural gas, different for electric, but the rates of electric versus natural gas. I always tell people, heat your home with natural gas if you can. Just the operating cost is way lower.
Right. We're the same
where we
boat.
are anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how we roll as well. It's we're about 35%. If you were going to heat natural gas, it's cost you 35% to do it in natural gas as it would electric.
Yeah.
So there's a pretty big jump.
To go from gas to electric.
No, if you spent $100 on electric, you could do $35 worth of gas to produce the same amount. So that's pretty significant when you start looking at people that are like, well, we're going to just do it because we want to have a heat pump because that's the trendy thing. Is we get customers that are on natural gas that are like, oh, we're going to save all this money. And it's like, you're going to have this conversation because when you get the bill into January or December, it's not going to be that.
Come on. I love it when a customer calls me and they know about their HVAC system or their hot water. Like, we want to do this. And I'm like, hell yeah, you do.
That's right.
Like, yeah, you want to get a heat pump right now. And then how about a new hot water system too? I'm your man.
That's right.
It's just going to cost 4 times more to install
Right.
and operate.
Look, I don't know. I used to struggle with this because I too know that my customers can save like 50%, maybe a little less than that, operating on natural gas in Minnesota. And we live in a super cold climate. We're climate zone 6. It doesn't get a whole lot worse than that in high populated areas in our country. And so their challenge is to do things efficiently and at the lowest cost. We still have super low operating costs. There's no doubt about that. And then so there's less incentive when you look at like from a utility standpoint. What's my bill going to be at the end of the month to operate on this new system? Yeah. We're doing a lot of dual fuel systems now. So whether it's air to water or air to air, that kind of thing. And it's a great advantage now because of these rebates. And as long as these rebates stick around, as a contractor, it gets the phone to ring and starts a conversation with, are you guys seeing rebates are you seeing changes in that? Or now that it's becoming more and more common and with legislation, you guys have kind of edged out a lot of the gas market. Is that kind of stuff going away?
Not really. It'll still be around forever.
You think so? I think it's going to dry up in the U.S.
There's still a lot of people, like install cost-wise, if you have a pre-existing hydronic system in your house, let's say, and then depending on how large your house is, some systems we've designed retrofits for, and you have to have 3 air-to-water outdoor units.
Right. That's pretty cost-prohibitive.
Yeah, so then you're talking 6 figures instead of, low 5 figures.
Man, right. You guys are expensive. Just kidding. I'm still going to raise my hand and be like, yeah, let's do this.
Not saying I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Money's there, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time saying no when it comes to this stuff, even though I know like there's a lot of different avenues. And if you educate your customer, ultimately they're the ones that are going to make the decision, at least in my business, because I'm one-on-one with my customer. I'm working for the homeowner. I'm not working for a larger general contractor. I'm not a large company myself. So it's a different kind of conversation.
No, for sure. Yeah, it all depends what you're doing. For us, a lot of things that prohibit it too is power in the area. So like I've had some clients that ask to switch to all electric, but then you talk to the hydro provider, and to be able to do it, they have to install like a transformer on their actual property,
right?
Which is very limited where you're actually allowed to do that. And then to be able to upgrade their service to some of them they have to go up to 400 amps to be able to actually run if they want to do their homes on all electric, which is
right.
So it's more of a combination of like population density, your existing grid, on whether or not you guys can even handle more electric.
Pretty much. The only way to get over it in certain areas, you can't even do an 100 to 200 amp panel upgrade. Like if you want to do any service upgrade like that, you're getting into transformers on your property and the cost just skyrockets.
Right.
Well, do you have hydropower over in Montana? I can't remember.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of hydro. Most of our energy that's hydro generated is not consumed in the state of Montana, though. It's kind of interesting. It's all sold to Washington and Oregon.
I want to get in the business of selling power. How do I do that?
So,
Yeah, I think we actually sell quite a bit of power down in Washington State too.
Yeah.
They're energy hogs down there or what?
There's more people down here.
So I think the energy trading is a good thing. If you're a utility and you're
How do you-
selling energy, you're in the good position.
I think I'm too late to that. I don't know if I can break into that market.
Yeah, might be a little late.
Yeah.
Tapped market.
Yeah. I'm over here trying to sling water heaters on rebates, and you guys are like, well, we buy our power over here. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that Viessmann system you just did look pretty good.
The air to water?
Yeah.
That was a really awesome
Was fun.
system. They're not exhibiting here at the show. I don't know what the heck their problem is, Viessmann. What the hell? Calling you out, Ben. You listen. I know you do.
Yeah.
I think that's really fun. And to see just this technology, maybe you saw the videos. I'd go on and on about how cool I think it is. It really is a simple system.
Yeah.
We're just taking a heat pump now, and instead of moving air with it, we're just going to add it to existing boiler systems or install it new. But for my market, it's almost always going to be retrofit.
Yeah, and they're all basically monoblocks, so it's not like you need a fridge ticket or experience to actually install them, but servicing them down the road maybe,
Yeah.
depending what happens to them anyway. But
Yeah. There's a few splits out there. There's not very many though.
yeah,
It'll be interesting. Viessmann does have a 200 and 300 series coming in that. I don't know what it's going to look like, but
on that
Yeah,
to be
this system
determined.
is the system we installed at my family's house was it's their 100 series, they call it, because that's kind of how they categorize their products.
Yeah.
Go up a notch, you're probably going to get some more functionality out of it. It's really interesting, though, the idea of taking a boiler system and moving part of it outside into the Minnesota winter. It was just like, I know that glycol works really well. We use it all the time to keep things from breaking, and it's a really cheap insurance. But in this case, it's like mandatory.
yeah,
And we have heat trace, and we have, insulated piping, and I'm thinking, none of this
Normal.
seems quite right, right?
Yeah,
You're totally prohibited of putting any kind of like distribution piping in an outside wall. Can't do that. Code says no, Our inspectors are going to say no immediately, and then here we are willingly drilling holes and be like, we're going to send this heat outside and we're going to get some more of it, that kind of thing.
Oh, and you're working with glycol too. Then you're changing your pump sizing and all that sort of extra fun stuff that comes along with it.
Surprisingly, on that system, though, that we know what we ended up doing, and this isn't a plug for Uponor, but it was just a really handy tool. Andy and I were doing some layout on the job and ordering materials, and we're trying to figure out, like, we were right at that point where, going from, let's say, 1-inch piping to 1.25-inch piping for that distribution from the outdoor unit based on distance and the glycol, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we could just go on their website and be like, my heat pump's over here, my tank is over here, here's my pump. And they're like, oh, you need this pipe size. And it's just like, boom. And I thought, this technology is so old, but I have never made use of it like I did. Like, it made my job so much more efficient because I was able to buy the right size pipe. I was actually going to upsize to 1.5 inch, but I only need 1.25 inch, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it saved, like, honestly, what do you estimate?
Oh, several $100s.
Several hundred, maybe even $1,000 just on materials on a very small scale job.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool build software like that now. Like Taco's booth has, I saw it earlier, they'll run you through their program on how to do it. So if you want to do it yourself at home, you can.
Circulator sizing and whatnot. Yeah.
All that system design stuff.
Are you using any of that out in the field?
Nah.
Yeah.
By the time I get there, everything's decided.
Yeah, no.
That's how I do it too. I show up and then I decide it.
Yeah. I just tell them, I figured this out a long time ago, and then I'm making a material list.
Right.
No, it's cool. The heat pumps. I mean, a couple of years ago we came to AHR. We've been coming for over a decade. Andy and I, we attend every year. Wouldn't miss it. But a couple of years ago you came here and everything had a heat pump on it. Like, I swear to God, the clothes, the freaking hairdryer in my hotel room had a heat pump on it, and you can't walk across that floor without just new and ours is better. And the last guy, he didn't know what he was talking about, that kind of thing. It's everywhere. So how are you supposed to make the most of your time at the show then to really know who's got the best equipment, or are we not worried about that? Everybody's pretty good. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it comes down to support.
Yeah.
It's my thing.
Is that how
I
your
know.
company approaches it too?
Yeah,
Just where you get the best
local
support?
makes things way easier for sure.
Yeah.
But if you actually want to learn about products, hang around till Wednesday when there's less people.
Yep.
Then you can actually get one-on-one time with, the R&D guys at the booths and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
The second shift guys are they're ready to talk.
I agree. No, it's interesting though, just to see the technology too, kind of put your hands on. Have you seen anything like super exciting so far at the show?
Not yet, but I had some obligations and stuff this morning, so I haven't really had a chance to explore. But last year there was a ton of new stuff. All the R32 stuff was out for display anyway, but now it'll be hitting the field this year.
Right.
So with the whole refrigeration switch, it should be, I don't know, be an interesting next little while.
Yep. What's most of the equipment up in BC for refrigerants? Is it 454B, 32?
Well, going forward, I think Allied is committed to 454B. Pretty much anything out of Asia seems like it's going to be 32 because they've been using it for a while already.
Right.
But we'll see. Not too sure. We're still mostly 410.
See any CO2 systems at all?
There's a few. Yeah.
Have you seen that split system water heater, the Sandco?
Robert did one. I haven't talked to him.
You got
about
one
it.
up in BC?
No, in California.
Oh,
one
yeah.
One of my buddies did one. I want to talk to him, but I just haven't had a chance.
I just installed one last week in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I made a 7-hour drive south. What a dumb thing to do. I was like, oh, this would be a cool YouTube video. Let's do it. And it was. It's cool. It was so simple. I couldn't believe that we had a heat pump monoblock outside. Again, now we're sending this is just water.
That's domestic water, no delay.
I don't really want to get nervous. Watch a Minnesotan pump, just plumb water out to a heat pump. It's crazy. I think my hair was standing up for 2 days. But yeah, so just 2 half-inch lines out to this monoblock outside and a storage tank in the house. And that's your water heater. And it was amazing how fast that thing heated up.
Yeah.
I think within 15 minutes, I don't know, it'll be in the video when it comes out, but I think it was like 15 minutes. That thing was pumping about 5 gallons a minute at 150 degrees coming from the monoblock outside. It was going to take a long time. It's an 83-gallon storage tank. There's no heat exchanger involved except for outside.
Yeah. It's cool. It's good. It's cool tech.
Do you think we'll see anything? Would you give it a try?
I've got 3 or 4 of them not that I installed, that we've serviced.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You probably told me. I didn't even listen.
Sometimes that happens.
This is how the podcast goes. He talks and I'm like, wait, what? He's like, I told you this yesterday.
Right. No. It's a good annual maintenance thing. I mean, it's just something, you got to wash outdoor coils on those things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got to keep them up out of the snow. I was telling these people from Kansas City, they're, Missouri, and it's Midwest. They have winter, not to the extreme as, drive up to Minneapolis, but they get ice, they get snow, and it's very periodic. And so basically it's not all the time. It's probably going to melt and be gone the next day, but you can't have snow piled up on your, they were going to set this thing right on the ground. I'm like, we got to go to the supply house and buy a couple blocks to set this on at least.
Yeah.
Something
to get rid of condensate.
They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it can't sit on the ground. It's going to freeze, and then you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
The one thing that makes me nervous is just the idea if the power goes out on this thing. Now, we have heat trace on the piping.
Yeah.
But that's just going to kick in at 27 degrees or something like that, or I don't know. Yeah. It's not a ton of protection.
Well, and if the power's out, it doesn't work either. So
that's when you sell them a backup generator.
There you go.
I was fresh out of generators in the shops, and I was making a 7-hour drive. So I was like, I don't know if I'm like, maybe next time. Yeah. I gave them the good, better, best, and they didn't select it. I'm just kidding. No, it's been fun. I'm thankful for you guys for you guys. Thank you, Andy, my co-host. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. In years past, we've done giveaways. Did you bring something to give away today?
Nope.
Oh, well, that's it, guys. What the heck? In the past, what's really, did I bring up the guy falling asleep before? I was telling him over there. We were doing this podcast. What year was that? Maybe 2021?
That might have been Atlanta.
I don't know, 2023, something like that. this guy comes in and he sits down, and we're like, he kind of gives me a nod, and I'm like, I must know this guy. I'm like, hey man, how's it going? And then we're talking, and about 10 minutes later, and I look down, and the guy is just sawing logs. He's just, and he's doing the, and so we just sort of like, well, look at this guy. This is a really, stimulating conversation. So stimulating, the guy fell asleep. And so we talked about him for about 5 minutes. This sounds terrible, and it was, but it was super funny because in the end, he woke up and he's like, wait, are they talking about me? And we're like, yes, we are actually talking about you. Thank you. It saved us. It's
like high school back in the day.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Pretty much every episode.
So you said you're going to stick around till Wednesday, and that's when you hope to get some more one-on-one conversations with the reps in the booths.
Yeah, pretty much explore the rest of the day and tomorrow. Figure out, kind of pinpoint what booths and what pieces of equipment I want to learn some more about before I go back home.
Right on.
Yep.
Is there other people from the company here?
Not this year. Next year they'll be down. They're all in some snowy places right now.
They want to go next year. It's in Vegas.
I'm not at.
Well, it's in Vegas next year. It's not very hard to get people to show up there, right?
Right. Yeah, it should be pretty good.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it. How can these guys listening and watching at home, how can they find you on which social channels?
It's just Instagram right now. It's MC period HVAC. It's my handle.
MC for Mike Cameron.
Yep.
.HVAC.
Very complicated name.
You're putting out some cool content lately. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
All right.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's how we end it. All right.
Perfect.
We're done.
We're done. Guys, thanks for listening. Actually, normally we don't have somebody on the show. It's a lot of fun to have Mike with us today. But like I said, we put a video podcast out on YouTube on the Mechanical Hub channel. That's this logo, wherever it is on my hat. And on our socials, you can follow Andy. And what's your Instagram?
I'm Mick_Plum.
He doesn't post anything ever. So, I'm just kidding. Why am I ripping on you so
I don't
bad?
know.
You can follow Mike, nc.hvac, on Instagram. And you can follow me all over the place. Instagram, YouTube. I think I still have a TikTok. Depends on if it's legal or not. I don't know if I can say that on the airwaves. And it's at Mechanical Hub. And our podcast, of course, is Make Trades Great Again. Mike, thanks.
Yep.
No worries.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having
it.
me, boys.
Have a good one.
Cheers.